You're listening to Do That Well with your hosts, Brenda Brown and Karen Thrall, a podcast about real experiences and how to turn them into life lessons. Unscripted, honest, funny, genuine, and passionate. A series of conversations where we explore every aspect of human interaction and provoke each other to do life well.
Yes. And you know what's real experiences? Food is real experiences. And today we are going to do an episode on food. Spring is in the air all throughout Canada, United States. The weather is getting warmer. The grill's going to be used a lot more. And so I'm excited that we're going to do a topic on food and we're going to do a little twist about it. So this will be a fun way to do it. And Brenda, I know you had another thought about food and why this is a fun topic today.
Yes, I did. I have a couple thoughts. Uh, but, food is a great way to create community. And of course, on Do That Well, we are all about creating
Yes.
community and forming relationships and bonds. So I think that food's really a way that we can find community through sharing recipes, through making meals with your friends. There's so many different ways that food is this connector in our society. And then a fun fact for you all. I found something. There was a recent poll of a little over 1,000 Americans, and it found that 54% of those people are cooking more than they did pre-pandemic, as well as
Oh,
75% of the
wow.
people felt more confident in the kitchen now. So
Nice.
hopefully this episode will
Nice.
also inspire you all to cook more and maybe,
So good.
branch out and learn some new things, try some
So
new
good.
recipes.
Love it. Okay, so how we're going to do this, and Brenda, is I'm going to ask you a question and you have to guess the answer. So we're going to do a little food trivia and that's going to spark this conversation. Okay, so I'm going to dive in and
Okay.
I'm going to
When we
ask you
say this is unscripted, this is so
it's
unscripted. I
unscripted.
have no
Yes.
idea what you're about to ask
Okay,
me.
okay. All right, question number one. All right. Which food was rationed after World War II ended, but not during the war? So, which food was rationed after World War II ended, but not during the war?
But not during the war. I have no idea, like, at all.
Okay.
Potatoes.
Oh, that's a good guess though. Close. Bread. So they started rationing bread after World War II, but not during the war. Interesting
That's
fun fact.
so interesting. I wonder
Yes,
why.
I know. And the thing with bread is Corey and we only, no judgment, okay? But we only eat bread on Saturdays. So that's like a treat for us. It's like a luxury food for us. So we try to stay away from bread during the week. But man, on Saturdays, like an English muffin in the morning with butter on it, or brioche bread, oh man, or a sandwich, or a bagel with cream cheese. Oh, like it's like it's so because we don't eat it all week long. So on Saturdays, it's absolutely delicious.
I love that. I eat a lot of bread. Bread's
Okay.
probably my one of my main food groups. Uh, but I don't always think about things like brioches or other
Mm,
fancy things like that. That's a good thing to remember. Like, I need to
yeah.
branch out with my bread. I
Mm.
always English muffins are my jam. I have an English
Oh,
muffin
love
almost every
English muffin.
single
Oh,
morning.
love it. Yes.
But
And I like making sandwiches like fried egg, cheese, and bacon with cream cheese and butter. And that would be like a breakfast sandwich. So those are like,
ooh, yeah.
oh, it's so good. Anyways, okay, question number two. The most popular meal ordered in US restaurants is what? Question mark. Most popular meal.
Popular meal ordered in US restaurants. Okay. A burger and fries.
Oh, good answer. But fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Fried
Oh,
chicken,
okay.
yes. And that's another thing. Like I'm more of a grilled chicken, so it would be a treat for me to have fried chicken. But I actually love grilled chicken more. But I still enjoy the fried chicken, but I prefer grilled chicken. That's more my thing.
I do love fried chicken. I will say. I don't know that
Okay.
it's something I order a lot, but I do like it.
Hmm.
I've never tried making fried chicken. That to me would be the ultimate. Like, if you knew
Okay.
how to make a good fried chicken, I feel like that would be such a good, I hesitate to say party trick, but I just think all your friends would love you if you had a fried
Yes.
chicken that you could
So,
nail.
and for you, Victor is the primary chef in the kitchen, right? So
Hmm.
maybe that would be a fun thing for the two of you to learn how to make is fried chicken.
Ooh, yeah. He actually probably already knows how,
Yeah,
but
I
maybe
already
I can
know
get him to
that.
teach me.
Okay, the next question I didn't know the answer, and I actually want to give some fun tidbits about it, but maybe you do. What two ingredients make the dish angels on horseback?
What two ingredients make the dish angels on horseback? I've
Yeah,
never even
yeah,
heard
me
of
neither.
angels on horseback. I mean, is it something where you in my mind it's like something where maybe you're putting a vegetable on top of something, or like I'm thinking like ants on a log, you know?
Is that all like with the raisins, the
Maybe
raisins and a celery
raisins.
stick, and you
Yeah.
put peanut butter?
So in my mind maybe it's
I
something
have
like
not heard.
that.
Oh, I have not heard. I have not heard that for so long. That just makes me so happy. Okay, not even close. I'm so sorry, Brenda. You're not even
Oh
close.
no.
Not even close. It's oysters and bacon. I looked it up,
Hmm.
and it comes from New. It comes from England, Great Britain, and I think it's more common in the East Coast, like Long Island, and I think they're more familiar with it than the West Coast is, and I could be wrong. So all the
So is
letters are
it
coming in now, but so
bacon
basically,
on top?
no, you wrap the oyster, and that the oyster has to be small, and you cook the bacon beforehand. You wrap maybe like a half a piece of bacon, then you put a toothpick, and then you grill it. So
Hmm.
it's because on the West Coast, and I'm all over, we tend to eat our oysters raw,
Mm-hmm.
right? But on the East Coast, and I know like in New Orleans, when I went to New Orleans, I had barbecued shrimp. It was sorry, barbecued oysters. It was ridiculously delicious. It was absolutely the best. I couldn't get enough of it. But anyway, so I might try this one where you wrap it in bacon and you grill it.
That sounds really interesting. I've never
Yeah.
had a grilled oyster. I've had raw oysters. I'm a big texture person.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. Okay.
if a texture isn't to my liking, like I won't even be able to swallow it,
Okay.
sort of thing.
So you'd have to have it baked or grilled.
Maybe. I mean, I've had raw oysters and they were okay. They were really small. I tried a big one
Yes.
and I almost lost it.
Well, that's the thing with the Northwest United States. The oysters are quite small. That's where you were raised with the little oysters.
Hmm.
Now, for the vegan and vegetarians who are going really seriously, guys, like, why are you? But we did talk about bread. So we're going to try to cover all ground. So my next question is, according to a survey, what is the U.S. top family food?
A top family food. A casserole?
Spaghetti.
Oh, that makes more sense than
Yeah.
casserole.
My mom used to make homemade spaghetti sauce, and she'd jar it and freeze it. So she'd make a big batch of it, and so that flavor, that taste of my mom's spaghetti is still in my mind as a little girl. I can still taste it in my mind. It hasn't left me.
Have you ever had just the spaghetti noodles with ketchup?
I know, no, Brenda, no.
Me neither. No, I haven't either.
Sure.
But I don't want to judge because
Right.
apparently that's a thing. I've
Oh,
learned about this recently. Apparently that's a way that some people do like spaghetti. They'll just do
hmm.
ketchup. I like to say ketchup. Ketchup
Okay.
on. I have a Midwest grandmother, so. Uh, but yeah, just ketchup on spaghetti noodles, and
Wow.
apparently it's really good. I like both those
Yeah,
things. I don't.
yeah. So I guess
If
together.
anyone out there has tried it, let me
Do you put the
know.
parmesan over top of it?
I
Because
don't
anything
know.
with parmesan is good.
I think you just do ketchup and spaghetti noodles.
Yeah. Oh. Now the fun thing with vegetarians is you can have a delicious spaghetti meal with like zucchini and peppers and chunks of tomato and garlic. So that's a dish. And I think with vegans as well, there is zucchini pasta, and So here we're in neutral ground. So spaghetti is a neutral ground based on your preference of food. I like the meat sauce in spaghetti, so I do enjoy that. Like the bolognese and all that. That's yummy for me.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like all kinds of pasta. It goes back to the bread thing. I like carbs.
Yeah, yeah. That's good. And also, I have to say, see, pasta is also a Saturday treat. So we have spaghetti squash instead of pasta. I don't know if you've done spaghetti squash. It's so good. You cut it in half and you grill it, put some olive oil, put your seasonings in it, and then you take the fork and you remove it with a fork, and it looks just like spaghetti. And you
Oh,
place
that
that as a
sounds good.
base, and then we put our sauce on it, and it's so good. Yeah. But on
See, this is where I'm
Saturdays,
of no help to the audience because, as we mentioned earlier, Victor does all the cooking. So I actually have no new innovation to bring to the table here. But
okay.
Karen, I'm learning things from you right now.
Yes, yes. Okay. All right, let's go keep going. I thought this was a fun one. You might know this one. The top United States food consumption days are Christmas, Thanksgiving, and one more.
Top food consumption days: Christmas, Thanksgiving, and I'm tempted to say either Mother's Day or Easter.
Oh, see, now I would have probably guessed Easter or during that time. Yeah. Super Bowl Sunday is the third.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
thinking holidays, but
I know. I know. Me too. I would not have guessed Super Bowl Sunday. No.
that makes so much sense though.
So, what are some of the fun foods that you've had in those kind of types of gatherings before pre COVID? What are some of the fun meals you've had?
With those sorts of, I love when there's like any sort of stereotypical picnic food, like think pasta salad,
Mhm.
potato salad, things of that nature, because those are things that I never would eat normally. So I love
Mm.
it when those kinds of things are
Mm.
at
Yeah.
an event or a get together.
One of my absolute favorite things to cook for appetizers is anything with phyllo pastry. I am a phyllo pastry nut, so I'll make spanakopita, or I'll make spanakopita but only with mushrooms, and I'll put cheese in it and stuff. And then I also like to
I
make
don't know what
mini
that is.
phyllo pastry is
Or spanning,
spanakopita is
yeah.
the Greek triangle with the spinach in it. Oh, see,
Oh, okay.
thank you for asking. Look at that. I just assumed. Isn't that funny? No,
I
yeah.
think
So
I've
it's
seen those,
yeah,
but I
they're
don't think I've ever had
triangle,
that.
and they're so good. And then I also take a muffin pan and I take the phyllo pastry and cook it, and then I make mini tacos with it.
Ooh,
So, or
that's
I do
good.
mini
I like
something like
that.
mini shrimp, like shrimp cocktail, or with like a shrimp, maybe with a vinaigrette and some coleslaw and stuff. And so I'll make that and then plump it into these little phyllo. So that's the kind of stuff I like to make. I'm a phyllo.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it is. It's so good, especially with butter. Oh,
So my one thing that I do have in my very limited bag of cooking tricks is I make a really good Dutch baby. So if I'm ever invited to any sort of brunch thing, that's usually what I bring. It's a Dutch baby.
and you're gonna tell us what that is,
Yes. See?
because
Oh, good. I had one.
I
I
don't
had one that
know.
not everyone knows.
I don't know what that is. Okay.
So a Dutch baby, it's like a dense, almost custardy sort of pancake that you cook it in a cast iron typically. That's like just eggs and flour and milk and butter, pretty
Mm,
much.
okay.
Yeah, so it's just like a dense pancake, and I want to say it's Scandinavian in its origination. And typically, I like to put powdered sugar and lime juice on mine,
Mm.
actually.
And does it look like a cake when you serve it? Like how do you serve it?
When I do it, I keep it in the cast iron, so it just kind of it ends up raising up around the edges a little bit of the cast iron. It almost looks like I don't know, like, well, not a fondue, but what's the other thing that
Yeah,
I'm thinking
like
of
a
that
souffle
people?
almost.
But yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. And do you put maple syrup?
I don't, but that's just a personal preference.
Okay. Wow,
Some
that's
people
so
do.
fun. Okay, and on a side note, cast iron is my new favorite thing. Like I only want cast iron now. I love cooking with. I love putting it in the oven, like putting the cast iron frying pan in the oven. I love putting it on the grill. I'm a big cast iron fan now. That's all the only thing
Cast
I
iron's
want. Oh,
great for cooking.
and it's so pretty if you get the color
Hmm.
ones. And we're going to just take a commercial break for a little bit here. Why are we doing this? Well, one is it's what you mentioned even earlier that more and more people are cooking. We thought this is food has always brings people together, and that's what you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. It is a form of community, and we're like, why don't we do food? And for those listening, have these questions. We'll have these questions if you want, and just see like learn about each other when it comes to food, and then also stretching each other to try out different recipes and explore the grocery store and the market and try new things and make it a whole adventure. Like food can be an all day thing, and it's a lot of fun. You don't have to be really good at it either. You can try simple recipes, and also how you place it on the plate makes you look all fancy too. Things like that. But there was something you mentioned in our prep. I forgot what it was, but there was a little tidbit you found out about food and the impact it has on people, I think.
Yeah, so there is some research, and there's not extensive research, so it's hard to say definitively, what the effects of cooking food are on your mental health. But there's some research out there that is leading to this connection between learning to make food and cooking food for yourself and your mental well-being.
Mm,
So, this idea that when you cook food for yourself, it builds your autonomy. And so, that can
mm,
be really good for your mental well being to feel like you can support yourself. Just the act of cooking, because there's so many steps involved, and
mm.
there's amount of planning and things like that have to go into it. And so, they think that that can actually be specifically good for anybody that has like
That makes so
ADHD,
much. Oh, that
or
makes sense. Yeah.
struggles with being able to concentrate, because it sort of
Mm,
forces you to create this
mm,
ritual for yourself. So yeah, there's definitely some correlation between cooking food and
mm,
your mental health, which I thought was
mm.
really actually not surprising. I thought it was really cool to learn that, but when you think about it, it does make sense that
Yeah.
when you take these measures to take care of yourself and do things for yourself, you're building this autonomy, you're getting a sense of accomplishment. Like after you've made something,
Yes.
as you said, Karen, maybe you make this beautiful thing that you want to share, and so you get a sense of
Mhm.
accomplishment, which is really great for our mental health. So
Yes.
yeah, making
And
food,
also,
it's good.
yeah, thank you for saying that. Because even let's say for those who are nervous about cooking or don't feel comfortable, and let's say you burn it. Well, you're not going to burn the entire thing, most likely. So you scoop out the non burning and you bowl it. You put it in a little bowl so it just presents itself differently and you treat it like an appetizer. If you burn the whole thing, then you just toss it in the garbage and you start again, and that's okay because that is part of learning. All of us have had the alarm go off. It's part of learning is, oh no, you maybe didn't pay attention to the timer or whatever, and that's okay. And if you make something, the flavors are so good, but it doesn't look good, again, you can put it in a bowl and make it more like a stew. If you're not happy with the result, you can just the way you plate it can still make it fantastic. If it was supposed to be just a single item on a plate, well, now it's not because maybe it's too runny. Then that's okay. Then you've got a stew. So there's all these ways, but those mistakes are really normal in cooking. And the other thing I would say is find 3 things you're good at, and those are your go tos. You're known, like Corey's really known for chicken. He makes such a really good chicken. So if that's an easy go-to. He'll roast an entire chicken, a whole chicken, and then he cuts it. That's his go-to, and everyone loves it because it's delicious. So sometimes you only need like 3 dishes, like you were saying. The pancake. What do you call the
The Dutch
pancake?
baby.
The Dutch baby. That's your go-to, and it's a winning thing. So not to put too much pressure on ourselves. Like it's okay to have 2 or 3 of those food items that are you just know are going to be successful. So to remove the pressure to have like a dozen or 20 recipes. Okay, you want me to keep going? One more
Yeah.
or a few more? Do you? Okay, so what is the most ordered seafood item in restaurants?
Most ordered seafood item. Is this in the US or like North
Yes,
America?
this would be
Okay.
the US. Yeah.
In that case, I'm going to say fish and chips.
See, that's a great answer. It's shrimp. But you're right, fish
Oh,
and chips. I
okay.
mean, that makes yeah, that's what I would say too. The reason because I found this website and it had the answers right under it, so you didn't I wasn't able to like guess because the answers were already there. But shrimp. Shrimp is the most popular seafood item in restaurants.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Which
And
does make sense as well. I mean,
yeah.
there's shrimp everywhere, shrimp
Mhm.
cocktails.
Mhm. I also last week made some really delicious, and it was healthy, some shrimp tacos with the cabbage, and I made a homemade white sauce with Greek yogurt. It was and then all the fixings you put on top of it, and it was just absolutely delicious. I know shrimp tacos are a big win. That's an easy thing to make for when you're having, a quick dinner or something like that. Do you like are you a shrimp eater?
I do. I do like
Okay.
shrimp. And shrimp
Okay.
is one of the only meats that I feel like I can cook.
Okay, really? Okay. So tell me about that.
Cooking meat just what's the word? It's not that it scares me, but it definitely is something that I'm shy of. I think because it's easy to overcook meat and it's also easy to undercook meat.
Mhm.
And so I never want to make anyone sick, so I think I always err towards overcooking it and that it ends up too dry and rubbery. It's just something I've not practiced enough with. And so
Mhm.
this is another thing with the cooking, since we're on this. Practice does make perfect with cooking.
Yeah.
And as much as pains me to say, I definitely don't practice as much, which is why I don't then end up cooking as much because I have this like stigma that it needs to be really delicious or I'm not even going to try because it's not going to turn out well. So thank you, Karen, for reminding us that it's okay to experiment and that it doesn't need to turn out
Mhm.
perfectly.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And you got me thinking about this too. So thinking about the vegans that are listening and the vegetarians that are listening, they're going, I feel left out. I love making salads. Like I am a salad. People who know me and who've dined with me pre-COVID, I'm a salad fiend. So I chop everything up really, really small because to me a salad is all the flavors. So if you get a salad from me, everything's going to be in small. And I usually will have the bowls, and so you can do your own fixings. So I'm going to tell you what I like in a salad, but not everybody likes what I like. But normally I have unsalted mixed nuts. Every salad has unsalted mixed nuts. And I have a cheese blend. So for me, it would be Parmesan, and for others, they wouldn't use Parmesan, but that's for me, it's Parmesan. And then there's this it's called Bolthouse dressing, and the calories are really low, and it's so good. It's my favorite dressing. So because a lot of times a lot of people won't use dressing because they feel there's too much fat in the dressing, but this is like a fantastic dressing. But I find salads, I gain really creative with salads. The trick, if you're not a salad eater, is cut everything really small and then toss it in and then toss it and then you've got a delicious salad. So salads are the best. I'm a salad nut.
I love that. I salads are something that I've come around to more recently in my
Mm.
life, but I definitely was not a salad person when I was younger. Also on the note of vegetarians and vegans, definitely not, trying to leave them out of the conversation. I'd say when I do cook, I cook
Yeah,
vegetarian
yeah, me
um
too. A lot of
or
times.
vegan. Yeah, and it's
Mm.
not that I'll eat meat, but I just don't really cook it for the reasons that I
Mm.
just said. Also, to be quite honest, touching raw meat kind of weirds me out.
Okay, okay. Yeah, well, you're not alone. There's a lot of people who feel the same way you do. I find I love vegan cooking. Oh, so if I see a vegan restaurant, I want to try something from there. And also cooking with beans, a variety of beans. Oh, so good. So I find the vegans just the flavors they use, and It's so creative. Even for a
Yeah.
burger, like a vegan burger is delicious. Delicious.
Sometimes it's my preferred option. Actually, for
Mm.
years, I had friends think that I was
Yeah,
vegetarian
me
because I would
too.
always order vegetarian
Mhm.
entrees and things, but it's just because it's what I
So
liked.
good. I know, me too. I'm me too. I've been mistaken as a vegetarian or vegan, but yeah, so that's all right. It's delicious. And for people who've never tried vegan, I would encourage you to go try a dish. Go to a restaurant that specializes in vegan and do it right, and then just explore, and you'll be so surprised at how delicious it is. It's really good. I am a meat eater, so I do love the steak and I do love my burgers and stuff on occasion. But I'm probably lean more towards seafood. I tend to like scallops and salmon and shrimp and halibut and cod. Like that's like those are my favorites. But
The thing I will say about vegetarian or vegan things too, when you say, to go to a vegetarian restaurant, I've noticed is that you just can't expect it to be like if there's something that's a faux chicken, you can't expect it to be chicken. Like you just have to go into it thinking this is an entirely new food that I'm
oh right,
trying.
yeah, yes, yes,
And I find that that can really change your perception of some of
right. That's
those
so
like
smart.
faux meats or,
Hmm.
alternative things is you can't think, okay, this cashew cheese is going to taste like cheese. No,
Right,
it's just going to be a thing that you could use instead of cheese. And you might love it
brilliant,
if you're not
brilliant.
comparing it to cheese.
That is brilliant. That's really, really well said. I One last thought from me is I'm not a good baker though, so I find that most people they either cook or they bake, and they have a natural talent for one or the other. And I'm not a baker. I have some dishes, that I do make, but I do it out of love because it's just not my natural talent. So but for me, cooking, you just whip it together and yep, yeah, that works. Like that's to me, cooking's just I can whip it up and have a meal in 20 minutes, and it's really fun for me. And but baking is because it's so precise, and that's where I'm not. I'll have like I'll either undercook it. It's not uncommon for me to sometimes undercook it out of caution and things like that. But that is okay. I'm just not a baker.
Now, when you said that, one last thing that I'm curious, and maybe for those of you that are listening, if you have any thoughts on this, please write us in because I'm really curious now because I'm the opposite. I actually think that I prefer baking, and it's the perfectionist in me, and it's the person that really likes to follow all those little
Wow.
steps
Yes.
that
Yes.
likes that. So I wonder if there's any correlation between like two stepper, 200 stepper, and if you tend to be
Yeah.
a person that likes to cook or a person that likes to bake.
That
There's a
is
question.
that would be a fun survey. Do you like the precision of baking or do you like the haphazardness of cooking? Which, people are arguing right now, like, no, cooking is, but at the same time, it's more forgiving. I find cooking is more forgiving than baking. That's just me because that's not my thing. Of course, I'm going to have that opinion.
Yeah. I think this episode is going to create some opinions. I hope we hear from our
Yes.
audience on this
Mhm.
one because you can see, even with just this conversation of us frivolously talking about food, you can see how much we've both learned. You
Mhm.
can see like how it's bringing us closer together, if that's even possible.
What?
And so it's really fun to just have
Yeah.
these conversations about food and learn from each other
Mhm.
and get new
Mhm.
ideas.
Yeah, and please talk to your friends. Have a food conversation. Get uncomfortable. Find out some foods you've never tried, and I'm gonna do that as well with this angel on horseback. I think it was what it was called. I'm gonna try that one out. But it's also fun to find out there's foods I didn't even know existed, like that one. So there we go.
Yeah, it's a fun topic.
Hmm.
Well, that pretty much concludes our episode for the day. We've made it past through our half hour that we allot ourselves
I
here.
know.
Well, thank you all for joining us this week, and we hope that you come away from this with a refreshed, ideas for cooking and that you're excited to get in the kitchen. We hope to see your creations.
Yes, mail it to us. Send
Yeah.
photos.
And we'll be here again next week, next Thursday on Do That Well. Bye.